I mean, the first thing I think we think of is who is the client, who is the stakeholder, and we've been blessed with having long-standing client relationships with brands that we want to continue to work with. So we certainly are servicing our existing clients. I think when we get new opportunities that are passing, across my desk or in through my inbox, it's a very different type of decision analysis that goes into it, and it really falls into whether I think we can win or not, and
What do you mean by win?
whether we can earn the business or not. The RFPs are kind of, like it or not, they're how a lot of clients make decisions around procurement. So that's probably another podcast to just give you my opinions on RFPs, but I think we're really looking at, can we win the business or not? And part of my job is to make those determinations. And if we do believe we can win the job, then it's also about execution. Can we do a good job? What is that going to affect the rest of our book of business? Is it something that makes sense either from a profit standpoint or from a long-term goal standpoint? Is it a brand that we want to do business with in the future, or are we just bailing somebody out who might be in a bind? Certainly we want to help people out, but not if it adversely affects the rest of our business. So, but I think that big question of just, can we win or not, is the big question that I think about, and spend a lot of time trying to determine.
Yeah. And I think win definitely it's not just about winning the job. It's not just about chasing a sales number. We'll get into that in a bit, but there are several things that that qualify as a win or not, right? Chris, I know that you're on the opposite side, not on the opposite side, but a different side of the business than Greg. I'd love to get your perspective on this as well.
It's interesting. So when Greg was on our side of the business, when we started, I'll be kind and just say back in the day. It really was a qualified opportunity. Was the bigger, more expensive the spend was going to be, the better the opportunity, right? And back then we didn't have a team of people. We didn't have engineers and designers and production people that had a voice in whether we pursued something or not. It really was up to the sales rep to decide, how much time they committed to the pursuit of the opportunity. They were commission based, and it really was, I think, a simpler project back then. Greg and I were laughing when we were prepping for this call last week, and I said, remember the first company we both started at? There were two kinds of leads. There was the show book lead, so a trade show book that had all the exhibitors. And so the lead was, here's the book, these people exhibit. And then there was, the Glenn Gary leads, if you remember that, the Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross. And that was somebody paid money for that kind of an advertisement, and someone filled out a card and said, yes, I'm interested in an exhibit or a particular service. And you go, wow, this was the golden lead. And now, when we, from my vantage point, we check what we call all the ables, right? Is it doable? Is it buildable? Is it deliverable? Is it profitable? Are we available to work on it? And is the customer non-negotiable on what they want us to? So all those ABLE words, right? And so, but I think to Greg's point, now it's, there are so many things we have to ask ourselves to see if it's a good fit, because we've learned over time, you can really hurt yourself taking on the wrong type of a project. I think back then, right, ego drove a lot of what we went after. We wanted the big brand client. We wanted the bragging rights. And now I think most of the listeners we have figured out it's about profitability. And by the way, I think most of them want to make a customer, not just make a sale. And so we're after the right fit with us. So I think those those are just a few of the things I think that we're now looking at when we determine whether to pursue a project or not.
Yeah, and from an agency perspective, our resource is ours. It is the quality of the talent of our team and the amount of time that they can spend on something. So there is a finite, or should be, a finite set of resources that we have. And so, part of this is to learn where to put those resources, both pre-sale, in order to make sure that we're also maximizing those resources post-sale if we are in the business.